Why so many intelligent people are quietly withdrawing. There's a subtle shift happening, one that isn't being talked about nearly enough. More and more intelligent people aren't exploding, protesting, or dramatically quitting society. They're simply pulling back. They still go to work, they still pay their bills, they maintain relationships, they show up where necessary, but internally, something has changed. Their emotional investment has decreased, their enthusiasm has softened, their willingness to engage has narrowed, and this shift rarely comes from a single breaking point. It develops slowly, after years of observing, listening, and recognizing that much of what demands attention no longer offers anything meaningful in return. Let's unpack why this is happening. Point 1. They see patterns where others see progress. To many people, the world feels fast, new, constantly evolving, but intelligent minds tend to notice structure before story. They see how often new ideas are recycled, how conflicts repeat with slightly different characters, how breakthroughs circle back to familiar outcomes. Language changes, branding improves, framing evolves, but the underlying mechanics often stay the same. What looks like forward movement can feel like rearrangement. After noticing this enough times, excitement dulls, not because they're cynical, but because they recognize the pattern. Point 2. Conversations don't feel honest anymore. At some point, many discussions stop aiming for truth and start aiming for alignment. People respond less to ideas and more to the emotional temperature of the room. Statements get softened, nuance disappears, discomfort is avoided, dialogue becomes careful self-management, and when conversation turns into performance, intelligent people quietly disengage. They don't want to role-play their thoughts, they want to explore them. Point 3. They notice incentives more than intentions. Critical thinkers understand a simple truth: behavior follows incentives more reliably than values. They watch who gets promoted, who gets amplified, which behaviors are rewarded, which disappear quietly. When systems reward visibility over accuracy, certainty over nuance, emotion over thought, expectations adjust. It's not bitterness, it's pattern recognition. And once you see incentive structures clearly, you stop taking narratives at face value. Point 4. Curiosity has been replaced by certainty. Curiosity requires space to question. To revise. To change your mind, but many modern environments demand preformed opinions. You're expected to arrive certain. Hesitation is framed as weakness, revision is mistaken for inconsistency. Intelligent people feel this friction quickly. Their thinking is exploratory by nature. And when exploration isn't welcome, participation loses its appeal. Rather than becoming louder or more rigid, many simply withdraw. Point 5. Emotional manipulation becomes obvious. Fear, outrage, urgency, these emotions capture attention, which is exactly why they're used so often. But once you notice the pattern, the effect changes, the emotional volume increases, the substance doesn't. Everything feels critical, very little is clarified. Intelligent people don't mind strong emotions, if those emotions lead somewhere meaningful. What drains them is being pulled into heightened states that produce no understanding. So instead of reacting, they detach. Point 6. Noise replaces the tone. Of the most alienating realizations is how much talking happens before thinking. Opinions appear instantly. Processing seems optional. People speak to fill silence. To maintain presence. To signal identity. The act of talking becomes the goal, but intelligent engagement depends on something different. The sense that thought is unfolding in real time. When that disappears, silence starts to feel smarter than participation, and disengagement becomes protection from low effort noise. Point 7. They understand crowd psychology. Intelligent minds tend to study group behavior, and once you understand how easily emotion spreads, how quickly nuance collapses under pressure, you adjust your expectations. Collective judgment can drift rapidly from reality. People respond to atmosphere instead of ideas, and when the crowd moves faster than truth, stepping back becomes a way to stay grounded. Point 8. Superficial complexity is exhausting. One of the fastest ways to lose an intelligent person's attention is to disguise something shallow as sophisticated. Corporate jargon. Buzzword-heavy explanations, performative depth, productivity frameworks that sound impressive but say little. Real complexity involves trade-offs, uncertainty, discomfort. Superficial complexity demands compliance. You're expected to nod, repeat, appear impressed. When complexity is used to obscure instead of clarify, disengagement becomes the most honest response. Point 9. Life requires constant self-fragmentation. Modern life asks people to split themselves into roles. Point 1. Version at work, another online, another with family, another in social spaces. None of these versions are false, but maintaining all of them creates strain. Intelligent people feel this fragmentation deeply. They notice when they're adjusting posture, tone, or beliefs to fit expectations rather than acting from a stable center. Withdrawing from certain arenas reduces that fragmentation. It restores coherence. Point 10. They've outgrown the need to be understood by everyone at first. Clarity feels like the solution. If you just explain well enough, people will understand. Over time, intelligent individuals recognize something difficult. Many people aren't listening to learn. They're listening to confirm. To defend. To position themselves. And once that realization settles in, the urge to translate every thought fades. Misunderstanding becomes less threatening. Silence becomes intentional. Not every idea needs universal approval. Point 11. Awareness comes with grief. There's a quiet cost to seeing clearly. Certain comforting assumptions start to dissolve, that fairness naturally corrects itself, that progress always improves outcomes, that people will act rationally when it matters most. As perception sharpens, expectations soften, hope becomes more conditional. This isn't despair. It's recalibration. But recalibration often carries a subtle grief. A recognition that some beliefs can't be held honestly anymore, and once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. So what's really happening? What looks like disengagement is often thoughtful adjustment. Intelligent people aren't rejecting the world. They're refining their participation in it. They're choosing where to invest attention, where to withhold energy, what deserves thought and what deserves silence. They still care deeply, but they no longer give themselves to systems that reward superficiality over substance. If this felt familiar, it may be because you've been observing quietly for a long time, and sometimes, pulling back isn't giving up. It's protecting your clarity.